Hello everybody. Today we are going to go over operations in scientific notation. For the most part, we're going to be adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing them. So you're going to be taking quite a few notes, so have your notebook and your pencil ready. You might need a calculator, so you might want to have that handy, but at any time feel free to pause the video, go back, rewatch, try some of the problems on your own, and if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. So let's get this into our notes right away. We're going to add and subtract. So to add or subtract numbers written in scientific notation with the same power of 10, we just add or subtract the factors. So here's an example that we'll go over, and then we're going to do a couple on our own. Here we have an addition problem, but both powers of 10 are the same. So all we do is we take the factors, 4.6 and 8.72, and we add them together. We get 13.32, and we bring down the power of 10. So right now, there's our answer. However, like we talked about the other day, this is not scientific notation because 13.32 is too big. It's over 10. So if we move our decimal back 1 to make it a smaller number, we're going to add 1 to the 3, which gives us a 4. So 1.332 to the power of 4. You're not going to have to do that terribly often, but you need to know how to do it. So let's go ahead and do a couple of examples. So the first thing I look at is I have the same powers of 10. So I know I'm going to put my answer down here at the bottom. I know I'm going to have 10 to the power of 4. I take my factors at the beginning and I add them together. So 4.5 plus 1.75. When I add those together, I get 6 because we're going to be carrying 6.25. So that's our factor at the beginning. And we know it's scientific notation because 6.25 is less than 10, more than 1. Let's look at the next one. Again, same powers. So it's going to be 10 to the power of negative 3. So I'm going to take my factors and I'm going to add them together. So 5 plus 2.8, which gives me 7.8, times 10 to the power of negative 3. And there's my answer. Now, they go over this, and you don't have to put this in your notes, but just follow along. We have subtracting. All the other problems we added, you would subtract like normal if you had a subtraction problem. This time, though, they do not have the same power of 10. So basically, we take this one and we divide it up into 10 to the power of negative 1, 10 to the power of negative 2. And we're going to take that, we're going to keep the power of 10 to the negative second because that's what we have over here. So we're going to change this one. We want a smaller number, so we're going to take our decimal and move it back here. I know this is not in scientific notation, but this helps us to where we have the same power of 10, which we're going to bring down, and then we do 3.5 minus 0.66, which gives us 2.84 times 10 to the power of negative 2. So let's do one example together. So here we have an addition problem where the powers of 10 are different. So I'm going to take the power of 5. I'm going to make it 10 to the power of 3, so it's similar to the one we have up there, times 10 to the power of 2, because 3 plus 2 equals 5. So I'm going to take my factor. I'm keeping this one. I'm going to bring the next one down. And I'm actually going to change this into a factor. So this is a positive 2, so it's going to be a bigger number. So I move it to the right. So this becomes 525 times, and we're bringing down 10 to the power of 3. So now I have an addition problem, 7.5 times 10 to the power of 3 plus 525 times 10 to the power of 3. So I'm going to take 525, I'm going to add it to 7.5, which gives me 532.5. So I have 532.5 times 10 to the power of 3, because we just bring down our same powers of 10. However, we know it's not scientific notation because 532 is bigger than 10. So I'm going to come 2 places this way. Because it's a bigger number, I moved it twice. I'm going to add 2. So I have 5.325 times 10 to the power of 3 plus 2 is 5. And there is our answer. Again, we're not going to have too many problems like that, but you need to at least have seen it. So now let's talk about multiplying and dividing, and this one is almost easier than what we've been doing. So take a moment, write these in your notes. Pause the video if you need more time. To multiply numbers written in scientific notation, remember these 2 facts. First thing you're going to do is we can change the order, so we're going to multiply the factors together, and then we're going to multiply the powers of 10 together. It's basically all we're going to do. So, a couple of examples. You can put these into your notes or the ones that we do together. It's up to you. So, the first thing I'm going to do is my factors. So, 4 times 2, that gives me 8. Then I'm going to do my powers of 10. So, 10 to the 7th times 10 to the 4th, which means I do 7 plus 4, which gives me 11. 8 is already between 1 and 10, so my answer is 8 times 10 to the power of 11. Look at the second example. Again, start with our factors. 3 times 2. 3 times 2 gives us 6. Then we look at our powers of 10. 10 to the 5th times 10 to the 8th. 5 plus 8 gives me 13. So our answer, 6 times 10 to the power of 13. So let's try a couple together, and we're going to do it the same way. First, we're going to multiply our factors. 2 times 3 gives us 6 times power of 10. 10 to the power of 2 times 10 to the power of 6. So 2 plus 6 gives us 8. So times 10 to the power of 8. It's in scientific notation because 6 is between 1 and 10. So we're done. Let's do another one. 3.5 times 1.5. So if we did 3.5 times 1.5, we get 5.25 times 10 to the power of, let's do -3 plus a -2. That would give us a -7. Sorry, -5. I wrote 5, said 7. Sorry about that. Definitely in scientific notation, so we can leave it alone. So let's do one where we have to change it. Or at least I think we do. We might not have to. So let's do 1.7 times 4.3. Nope, we don't have to change it. That gives us 7.31, which is nice. Times 10 to the power of 2 plus 4. So that would be times 10 to the power of 6. Here's one where we would have to change. I got ahead of myself. So again, multiply the factors. 3 times 5 gives us 15. Do the exponents. So 10 to the -5th times 10 to the -2nd. So -5 plus a -2. That gives us a -7. Well, this is not in scientific notation. So we're going to take our decimal point. We're going to move it over 1. And because it was a bigger number, we're going to add 1. So we get 1.5 times 10 to the power of -7 plus 1 is a -6. Division is the same way. Go ahead and put this into your notes. Pause the video if you need to. We're going to remember 2 facts. We're going to divide or reduce the factors and then divide the powers of 10. So that means we're going to subtract our exponents. So look at the first couple of examples here. We do 8 divided by 2 first. we get 4. Then we're going to do 10 to the 7th divided by 10 to the 4th. So 7 minus 4 gives us 10 to the 3rd. Same thing on our example 2. 18 divided by 6 gives us 3. And then 10 to the power of 7 divided by 10 to the power of 3. 7 minus 3 gives us 10 to the power of 4. So let's do a couple of examples. And again, we're just dividing it up. 16 divided by 8 gives us 2. 10 to the power of 14 divided by 10 to the power of 10. So 14 minus 10 gives us 10 to the power of 4. And we have scientific notation. Again, only thing here is I'm going to change this. This should have been a 3, 9 3/10. Sorry about that. I had a typo. So 9.3 divided by 3.1 gives us 3. And then we do our powers of 10. So we're going to do 8 minus a negative 6. We can double dash. So we have 10 to the power of 14. So there we have scientific notation. So again, let's look at one that we have to change. So I'm going to do 1.5 divided by 6, which gives me 0.25. Definitely not scientific notation. So now we do negative 8 minus 7. So that would give me 10 to the power of negative 15. Now, this is not scientific notation. We have to move it. So we started with a smaller number. We moved our decimal to make it bigger. So we're going to subtract 1. So I get 2.5 times 10 to the power of negative 15 minus 1 is a negative 16. I think that'll look a little bit more like a 16. So here is 2 multiplication problems, 2 division problems. Please go ahead and pause the video and try these, and then come back and see how you did. 2.5 times 2 gives us 5, times 10 to the power of 8 plus 3 gives us 11. So we have 5 times 10 to the power of 11. 5 times 5.4 gives us 27, times 10 to the power of negative 4 plus a negative 9 gives us a negative 13. Not scientific notation, so I'm going to move it. I go from a big number down, so I'm going to add 1. So 2.7 times 10 to the power of negative 12. Now I'm going to divide. 1.5 divided by 7.5 gives us 0.2 times 10 to the power of, I'm going to divide, so negative 3 minus 2 gives us a negative 5. Go from a small number up to a bigger number, so I'm going to add 1. So I get 2 times 10 to the power of negative 6. Sorry, we subtracted 1, not added 1, because we went from a small number to a bigger number. 5.8 divided by 2 gives us 2.9. Definitely going to be scientific notation. Negative 6 minus a negative 3. I'm going to double dash. 10 to the power of a negative 3. Your homework is at the end of the lesson in 9.7. So you open up the lesson PDF for 9.7, and you're going to do problems 7 through 10, 16 through 24 at the end. Make sure you show your work if you need to. Try to do it on paper since it's a couple steps for every problem. And again, if you have questions, please let me know.